The code for Richard's charges came out yesterday, and I found it very interesting, maybe even a bit telling. And I'm just going to go all out here and give a theory that involves 3 people. I'm not pulling this out of my arse. I've done my homework. This channel has done its homework. Please go back and watch some of my earlier videos on Delphi, especially on Tony and Kegan. I made a little playlist this morning called Tony's Dirty Secrets. Please check it out. So this is the charge. Richard is charged with murder along with one of these. It has to be one. At least one. And remember, very important note, in Indiana you are automatically charged with murder if you are an accessory to murder. And I'm just going to try to narrow this down first. Process of elimination. And then tell you a theory. I'm taking trafficking off. I talked about it before. If this was an attempt to traffic and they couldn't help themselves and ended up killing the girls there, I don't believe that to be the case, because the items brought to the scene that day and the way the crime scene was suggests that there never was a plan for the girls to leave that area that day. The next one I'm taking off is all the SA. There is no doubt there is a sexual component here, but under the definitions that they have, given that we've no indication that something of that nature happened to the girls, if anything, it's not in search warrant affidavits, so things point towards it not happening. Just under the definitions that they have for that sort of stuff. So I'm basically down to 2. Kidnapping, which, yes, like, that's definitely there. Richard is the guy. They told us Richard is the guy. Whatever happened after the bridge, taking the girls from that bridge and down that hill is kidnapping. And the other one is sexual deviant conduct. I'll put up the definition here. Please pause if you want to read. But the first thing I thought about when I looked up the definition yesterday of this is I'm thinking photos for sexual pleasure. So that's the 2 I'm left with. So what's the theory? This is all speculating for me, just based off what we know. The theory involves all 3. Richard has his own account under his own fake name. Kegan and Tony are using the Anthony Shots profile. They chat under these fake names. They share images with each other. And we see an example of how this can happen in the Kegan Kline docs. You have 2 adult men who are pretending to be young girls communicating on an app. And very quickly, the conversation, they kind of suss each other out. They realise, oh, he's just like me. And then the act falls off. They start talking bluntly to each other and they start sharing CSAM images. What if that's how they met? No real communication other than sharing images with each other. And maybe tiny nuggets of info. Some of these apps connect people who are in close location, in close proximity to each other, to make friends and stuff like that. That's the intention behind it. So a lot of these guys' targets are actually close by, but an image is shared from one to another, and one of the accounts recognises the girls. He knows where she is, where she lives, and because of that they realise they're close to each other. So Richard says he's from Delphi. Tony likes that. He's always liked Delphi. He hunts there a lot. His favourite wrestler was born there. But that's it. No real other info. They like each other. They share CSAM images with each other. They talk about their sick fantasies. Tony says what he would like to do. Richard says he'd like to watch. And then one day, Tony mentions or sends Richard a snap of a girl. It's Sunday night. He's watching pay-per-view wrestling. He's feeling nostalgic, thinking about Dick the Bruiser. And then he remembers, oh, hey, Richard's from Delphi, isn't he? I wonder, does he know this girl? This girl I've been chatting to, called Libby. Tony sends a picture of Libby. Richard is like, yeah, I know her. She lives by me. And then a plan begins to form. Remember what we talked about? Remember what you said you'd love to do? Let's do it. She's off school tomorrow. And even better, her friend is there with her. Kegan is brought in on it because he has an important part to play. And the next morning, Monday morning, the plan is in motion. Tony, Kegan drive to Delphi. Kegan has his Samsung phone with him. The same phone that Kegan told investigators he didn't have at that time. That he found it in a back seat in a rented car in Vegas. They pick Richard up by the Martin gas station. First time meeting each other, they don't know his name. They don't know where he lives. They get to the bridge. Kegan is useless, the lump. He waits in the car. Tony and Richard scope the area out, plan it out. Tony's not a stranger to the area. He has hunted Ron Logan's property many times. They plan where the attack will happen. They go back to the car. They bring Kegan down. Kegan is the cameraman here, folks. He's Tony's cameraman. His job is to record. They have a plan on how they're going to get the two girls over to the area. They set a trap. They're going to trap them. Richard walks across the bridge. Richard is BG. Tony is waiting down at the end of the hill. He's there to make sure the girls don't go left. They need him to go over to where they were found, where Kegan is waiting. And that's what happens. Richard is BG. He kidnaps the girls from the bridge and down the hill. They march the girls over to where Kegan is waiting. Tony carries out the attack while Kegan records for the Klines and Richard records or takes his own snaps. What happens. Tony is covered in blood. He washes before he gets into the car. Richard gets in. He's not so careful. He thinks his clothes are okay, but they're not. They leave, drop Richard off where they collected him by Martin gas station. He gets out, walks home. They never hear from him again. The Klines drive back. They dump stuff in the river and on the way home. Tony goes over to Club Country Road, burns clothes, and 1 week later, Tony and Kegan are fleeing to Vegas with the contents of that phone, possibly to sell the images, to sell the videos. Kegan is panicking a bit when they're in Vegas. He's Googling the search. He's Googling how long does DNA last. He's listening to BG's voice. Tony's buzzing because it seems like they've got away with it. It's not a picture of them that was captured on the phone. It's not their voice that was captured on the phone. Why should he be worried? They're not looking for him. They're not looking for Kegan. They're looking for Richard. And Richard thinks he has nothing to worry about. He finds the sketch hilarious. He laughs his ass off when that comes out. He panics a small bit when he sees Kegan's head pop up on his TV screen last year, but not enough to get rid of anything. The police surely can't track him down from a username he used 5-6 years ago. I think they can, and I know they did somehow, that's for sure. Again, just a theory, speculation for me. I have problems with it. I talked yesterday's video about why Richard didn't get rid of anything. If there is a connection, I find all the coincidences too much. I think there is a connection, I'm just not sure how. And I know a lot of you believe that the 3 people are involved. I think there's a chance, and if they are, I think this is close to how it went down. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you get justice soon for the girls. Good luck, God bless. I hope everyone has a good day.